Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV. You miss your old familiar friend.
Hey guys, and welcome back to The News. Jimmy here. So my research question that I studied on The News was an analysis of 5 articles concerning music and sociology. And I'll be examining today how exposure to explicit music affects people's attitudes and eventually their behavior. This particular article was by 2 people called Dixon and Linz, and they were looking to understand the effects of sexual attitudes and belief on rap music. And they were investigating listeners' judgments regarding the level of offensiveness of these sexually explicit lyrics. Before I'm able to understand the relationship between explicit music and physical actions, such as violence and crime, it's important to analyze the effect the music has on attitudinal variables, such as the listener's outlook on sexual offensiveness and squirmy societal issues that no one really likes to talk about. So this study took 161 females and 89 male undergraduate volunteers, and they all listened to one of 6 conditions, rap or non-rap, all of which had high, medium, or low sexual explicitness. Before the listening took place, participants were asked to complete an attitude and belief questionnaire that assessed their familiarity, appreciation, and attitudes toward these explicit genres. Subjects were then listening to 3 songs for their assigned conditions for a total of about 15 to 17 minutes. Conditions for the rap conditions were taken from 2 live crews' As Nasty as They Want to Be albums and their other album As Clean as They Want to Be. The 2 albums were exactly the same with the exception of the sexual explicitness. The non-rap conditions consisted of music from heavy metal, punk rock, general popular, and R&B genres. Separately, there was a comparison of gender, musical genre, rap or non-rap, and sexual explicitness as independent variables was undergone to measure various reactions for each of the dependent measures: offensiveness, prurient appeal, and belief about rap's artistic merit. Not surprisingly, the results showed that the highly sexually explicit conditions were rated as more patently offensive in rap music than the other conditions. Strangely, the high sexually explicit rap music was far more offensive for women than it was for men. Additionally, the results showed that the more sexually rebellious a subject was, which just means that they find humor in sexual topics, the less offended they would be at the genre. That makes sense. Those who scored high on the rebellious sexual attitude scale did not believe that rap contributed to societal degradation and did not believe that it lacked artistic merit. Understandably, rap fans think highly of their genre, which is why they are fans of it. In summary, rebellious sexual attitudes, believing that rap contributes to societal degradation, and level of sexual explicitness are the most important variables for predicting reactions to rap music. This graph shows the patent offensiveness rating of low, medium, and high sexually explicit rap and non-rap. Sexually explicit rap climbs from low to medium and shoots up like lightning when considered highly explicit. It doesn't get any more offensive than this, people. Though low sexually explicit rap was rated less offensive than rap, it shot up in the medium category and then right back down when it came highly sexually explicit. This shows that highly sexually explicit rap is perceived as more patently offensive than non-rap music, even though it has the same level of explicit material. The results showed here that there was an inverse relationship between rebellious sexual attitudes, aka finding humor in sexual topics, and patent offensiveness. Perhaps the subjects who were fans of rap found more humor in sexual topics, so they don't get offended by anything, and vice versa. The conditions were selected at random, and whoever was listening to sexually explicit rap was simply not having it. The News is a proud sponsor of Really Big Books.
Hi, Tori here, and welcome back to The News. This study examines the interplay between external and internal factors of motivation in students and reveals their comprehensive effect on student motivation before and during college. Student motivation in secondary level education was higher with parental support, and later in the article, college students' motivation was tested by an anonymous survey collected from non-music majors, while motivation becomes more internal. Early in students' lives, specifically around 1st or 2nd grade, children begin to evaluate their ability to perform various tasks. Children tend to base their evaluations on their own opinions and the feedback received from significant adults in their lives. This shows that parental assessment is more powerful than the class grades in determining young children's self-perceptions of ability and interest. A student can find interest in music without parental support too, but the motivation of a student was increased with higher support from their parents. Students were more confident in their own musical abilities when they thought that their parents not only enjoyed music personally, but were also supportive and encouraging of the students' musical pursuits. Previous musical experience and parental support of music positively influenced students' self-concepts in music, and students with better self-concepts in music reported better academic and social integration in choir, both of which directly and positively affected the value students placed on music, leading to their motivation being internal instead of being mainly external. The method of this study was that the author consulted a panel of 4 independent experts in music education, choral music, and educational psychology. The panel members evaluated the importance of each statement on a survey to the respective variables. This made up the choir participation survey. The choir participation survey contained 2 sections. The first section gathered demographic information about the students, including gender, age, current education level, major, plans for re-enrollment in the same choral class, class status of being elective or required, and the amount of students' previous musical experience. The second section consisted of positive and negative statements that assessed the 7 variables in the study, being parental support in music, previous years of musical experience, self-concept in music, academic integration, social integration, value of music, and musical intentions. There were 154 participants in the study, and they were all enrolled in 3 choirs. A large number of students majored in liberal arts, followed by business, education, engineering, natural sciences, human sciences, architecture, design, construction, and nursing. Choir was an elective for all students. The researcher distributed copies of the anonymous choir participation survey to 158 students at the end of choir rehearsals. Students who were willing to participate in the study filled out the surveys and returned them to the researcher. The results brought 154 students to return their questionnaires, out of which 152 had complete information that was appropriate for the analysis. The focus of this study was on non-music majors' intentions to continue music participation, and therefore 22 music majors were excluded from the analysis. The final sample included 130 students. Means, standard deviations, and internal consistency coefficients for each scale of the survey are reported in Table 1. This chart has the means, standard deviations, and internal consistency coefficients for each scale of the choir participation survey. Students recorded their responses on a Likert type scale to the 7 variables, being parental support of music, previous musical experience in years, self-concept in music, academic integration, social integration, value of music, and musical intentions, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being strongly disagree and 5 being strongly agree.
Hello, welcome back. My research question, do music preferences have an impact on suicides? For my article for this video, my question, the research question, is there any relationship between music preferences and suicide risk factors? For the method of this article, there was 943 participants, 631 women, 312 men, and those people's mean age around 30 years old. Those people mostly educated, and specialists reach out those people with flyers, emails, posters and emails, and public announcements at the facilities of the University of Vienna and Medical University of Vienna, Austria. This study has some measurements. I'm gonna explain those. First, exposure to suicide-related music. Those people, participants, they listen suicide-related song from 50 unique songs and 25 favorite songs. Those songs, Song to Say Goodbye by Placebo, Beautiful Girls by Sean Kingston, Everywhere by Britney Spears, Suicide Solution by Ozzy Osbourne. Those songs have the suicide-related lyrics and some media, some visual things, and people watch those. Second one, they rated these songs as a 5-point scale. For example, I don't like or I like, and also they questionnaire preferred music genres, like a list of 25 music genres. specialists asked participants which one they usually listen. It was yes or no rate questionnaire. And third one, suicidal ideation. That was self-report about suicide. The participants rated themselves 1 to 5, like manual questionnaire. The question was, I feel people better off if I were dead. And another one, hopelessness. And participants did self-report again. For example, question was, my future seems too dark to me, yes or no. And depression, again, self-report. This includes self-report. For example, I want to cry, I feel bad, something like that. Last one, psychoticism. And participants did self-report again. And the question was, would you take drugs which may have strange or dangerous effects? For results, this study had some factors, 5 factors. First one, blues and jazz music. Second, techno, electronic, trance music. 3, opera, classical music. 4, Schlager, folk music. 5, rock, punk, and heavy metal. Overall, the results factor 1, 2, 3, 5. Significant predictors with psychoticism. Opera and classical had no high score about related with the psychoticism, but blues, jazz, techno, trance score was higher. Also, suicide-related songs was a significant predictor for hopelessness. People are happier, life satisfaction is high. So generally, this study's result, music preferences partly associated with the suicidal related suicide. And also we had some limitations in this study, the young age and some educational level, and those affects the results. And generally young age and low education correlated with higher scores on most suicide risk factors. Specialists overlapped the results according to the participants' answers. This graph includes means, standard deviations, and minimum maximum values among the suicide risk factors and music preferences. Preference 1, 2, 4 had highest points and 3 and 5 lowest points, as you see in the graph.
We just got reports that the new UTSA engineering building is on fire and it's flooded and there was an earthquake. But we have more important things to take care of. Tori, back to you.
Thank you for that update, Jimmy. Back to our research. So, to tie it all together, we found that our research questions point to the idea that a person's past experiences with music directly impacts their motivation, practice, enjoyment, or lack thereof. Meaning, so for Jimmy's example, people who grew up listening to rap are not as easily offended as people who didn't grow up listening to rap. With Eamon's example, people who are already suicidal tend not to enjoy music with references to suicide, while people who are not suicidal are able to enjoy it from not being personally triggered. From Victoria's example, in secondary level education, parent support is higher, which continues into the college level education and motivation to participate in musical ensembles. All of these examples are dependent on past musical experiences. So, how do the results of these studies relate to music? Well, in my article, making a parent involvement a priority in your secondary level education program can directly impact a student's participation and motivation.
Related with my article, because with an increasing awareness of mental health in society, we can use this study to how easily people are triggered by music with references to suicide.
What's that? I just got a report that the engineering building is completely destroyed. What a shame. And in regard to how my article relates to music, there is a direct relationship if I'm going to be a choir director. Rap is a genre that is popular and will always be with adolescents, so it is important that I find ways to incorporate it into my musical classroom. And as long as I'm not using rap that has patently offensive sexual lyrics, there's no problem with using it in our everyday ensemble. Just another reminder that we at The News are proud sponsors of the WNBA. Get your head in the game. So for opportunities of future research, Victoria would like to follow the same kids throughout their college career to monitor if their motivation decreases or remains, rather than using 2 different groups of kids. And Eamon would like to explore what would happen if you put sad lyrics with notoriously sad genres rather than the opposite effect as used in her study. And myself, I would love to look into the benefits of censoring words in songs, because if they already know what words are being censored, what does the benefit of censoring the words have on their perception of the lyrics?